Hi, welcome back to Loud and Clear with me, Madison. I'm here today with Boris of Gogol Bordello and Hey Guy. How you doing, Boris?
Amazing. How are you?
I'm very good. It's good
Probably
to be
speak
here.
in the mic.
Yeah,
Let's start with the basics.
that might help.
Yeah.
To start off, do you want to tell us a little bit about your career?
So, in short, I'm Russian-born. Moved here in '91
Very
as a
cool.
kid, and been playing ever since then. Started actually in Russia and went to Berkeley for a couple of years. Since Berkeley, I've been playing a bunch of bands. These days, I play in Gogol Bordello and a band of mine called Hey Guy.
Mm-hmm.
Did a bunch of Broadway stuff for some years.
Oh, cool.
Music directed these Nickelodeon kids called the Naked Brothers for some years. That was
Really?
very, very interesting. And
I grew up watching the Naked Brothers band.
Oh, those guys are still my best friends.
That's so cool.
They're incredible musicians, and the whole experience was very enlightening and fun and educational. And we still do gigs together.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
So who are some of your biggest influences?
Wow.
I know it's a big question.
Yeah, it's very, very loaded. I went through a lot of eras in kind of my musical journey. I did classical for many years, and I did classical both when I hated it, when my parents forced me to do it, and I also did it when I loved it. And I guess my heroes in the classical world are like Terega or Villalobos and Assad brothers and guys of that nature. As far as rock goes, is what I kind of eventually ventured to. I like guys like Brian May and Mark Knopfler and Josh Homme and all the the classic cats, the Hendrixes and all the dudes, and
The must-haves.
I also love my jazz guitar players like Kurt Rosenwinkel and Schofield, and Wayne Krantz was a teacher of mine in Berkeley, and he's a big inspiration on my playing for sure.
Very cool. Is there a tone that you're chasing in your head?
In my head. Always. You're always chasing a tone, I guess. I guess you never settle. You always change. The more kind of you grow, the more your playing grows, the more you're chasing it. I think you chase it more and more the more you play. So there's a lot of different tones because I do so many different things, both in Gogol Bordello and in Hey Guy. There's a lot of different tones that are being chased for specific sections of songs,
of
or
course,
specific directions and styles of different different songs and different albums and et cetera, so forth.
Right. So you play with a bayonet, right?
Yes.
And what kind of railhammers are in that?
I have the P90 and the humbucker, which, because I'm not the craziest gear nerd, I don't remember the name of at the moment.
I think it might be the Hyper Vintage. Yeah, I think it's the Hyper Vintage.
Yes.
Which is awesome.
It's a great pickup. I remember it being the Hyper Vintage. I just don't remember the name now, but I know how it sounds very, very well.
Yeah, how do the railhammers help achieve that tone that you're chasing?
Railhammers are very good at definition. So the thing that I think, no matter what kind of tone you're chasing, the thing that any guitar player seeks is, especially when you get into overdriven tones, anything that's above just a completely bare, clean tone, you're always looking for definition. Distortion hides definition. So you have 6 strings, you play all the 6 strings, the more overdrive you press, the less you can hear the individual string and how it's voiced. What railhammers provide, from my experience, is not only can you hear individual strings in a very heavily distorted or like semi-distorted chord, you could actually hear them in their specific frequency range where they actually should be. Whereas other pickups are just kind of, it's like putting a mic. It's like, whatever, fucking go, cool. Here we're actually like almost voicing every string differently.
Sure.
And that's how it sounds to my ears. I'm sure Joe Naylor can explain it in a lot more scientific way. That's just to my... I don't know how electronics work. I know like the very basics, but to my ear as a guitar player, that's what it's doing.
For sure. My personal favorite question is, what's your favorite venue to play?
Wow.
Because you've been all over.
Yeah. Yeah, there's been a lot. Favorite venue? I get that question a bunch, actually.
It's a good one.
We don't play a lot of House of Blueses with Gogol. I've played a bunch of House of Blues with other bands, and those have always kind of resonated because of how they're built and the structure and the sound. And some of them are a little trickier than others because they're built out almost as theaters.
Mm-hmm.
Those have always been fun. The venue here in Royal Oaks is actually really cool.
Oh, yeah.
It's really cool.
And you guys have a show tonight, right?
We have a show tonight there.
Very exciting.
I used to love playing CBGBs back in the day.
Yeah.
That was a really cool spot. And it's not just legendary. It actually had a vibe that is very hard to kind of describe.
Yeah.
Just short of its, reputation. It was actually a really fun place to play.
Very cool. And I got one more question for you.
Sure.
What is on the horizon for you as an artist?
So we are kind of finishing out our tour cycle for our last album with Gogol. And we are going to pretty much finish this summer tour in August, and we're going to probably break for a little bit until perhaps the spring of next year, and that's the time that I'm going to use to do a lot of stuff with Hey Guy, which is my other project.
For sure.
We're putting out a bunch of new music. We have a new record, but we're putting it out slowly, song by song. We have one song out right now. There's another one coming out in a couple of weeks. I'm going to be doing a bunch of support kind of touring with that band because it's still a baby band.
Right.
And we prefer not to headline at this moment. We'd prefer to, be a support for other bands
Sure.
to bring us along. And
putting in work.
Yeah, and I have a home studio at home that I built, and I'm doing a bunch of production and recording and
Very cool.
stuff like that.
Well, we're excited to hear it. Thank you so much for coming today.
Thank you for having
doing
me.
this interview with me.
Yeah, of course.
Stay tuned for next time. We're going to have more artists for you. Loud and Clear with Madison. Bye.